What the hell are you doing?
I'm kicking my ass! Do you mind?
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Shy Podcast. I'm Cody.
And I'm Tatiana.
I'm Luke.
And today, we've been on a month hiatus, but today we're talking
We're back.
metabolic adaptation, how it ties in the types of training that we've done, how types of training that you do with your clients, and ultimately nutrition because we're trying to burn body fat. The big goal with most people is to be healthy, right? But being healthy is to have the right balance of body fat, adipose tissue to muscle. So, like some of the risks and stuff that are associated with being, I guess, I won't say too fat, but having too high a body fat percentage, like what?
They're very high. So metabolic adaptation to the core is the process by which the body just begins to change how efficient it is with the amount of food you eat and what it transfers into energy. So basically what that means is your body is super duper efficient, and we don't really talk about metabolic adaptation when it comes to like starvation or famine. I think when, in the fitness world at least, we talk about it really only when it ties into dieting. So it's the body's response to quote unquote starvation or dieting for too long, and there's a lot of risks that come with adapting to a low caloric intake and then overfeeding because suddenly your body is just, you're hungry. So there's a lot of risks that go into that, and we're going to talk about them. But first, we do want to let you know that there's other things that tie in to this metabolic adaptation response. It's not just like starving yourself or being in a caloric deficit. This can also occur with overtraining or too much cardio. All right, so let's circle back to like the risk and how to prevent it when you really understand like what is metabolic adaptation. Like, what's an example of like someone that's going through metabolic adaptation? What would you say?
I mean, I think it's a bulk of what we see as trainers are people coming in that are really just stuck and they're doing, I would say they're doing things right. They're in the gym, they're working out, they're putting in the time and the effort. They're just not doing it correctly. And so...
It was me.
Yeah.
This was 2019, Cody.
The guy that couldn't be on the couch because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
2018 Cody.
Yeah.
And so we see this a lot. And so a lot of times people's go-to training method when they're wanting to lose body fat and get into shape, it's cardiovascular training.
And under eating.
And under eating, yeah. And so a lot of times with people, their starting point will be insert a ton of cardio, whatever it might be. And they will have success when they're doing that. But over time, what's going to happen is that metabolic adaptation response. The more cardio you do, the more efficient your body is going to become at doing said cardio.
Right.
So your body will require less and less calories to do the same amount of work over time.
Yeah.
And so people will see that initial response from their body to lose some body fat, lose some weight.
And they're like, oh, this is working.
Right. So and so I see them, it starts slowing down or it stops completely and they're in this stagnant state and they're stuck. But their response is, because it worked in the past, is more cardio.
Yeah.
And so they're hurting themselves.
You're literally going to drive yourself into the ground.
Yeah,
seriously.
Yep. Or eating less is another thing I see people do. I'm like, oh, well, I need more cardio and I need to eat less. And it's like, well, you're actually eliciting a response in your body that's going to want to store body fat by doing these things.
With anything, there's diminishing returns with anything in fitness. So administering the right amount of resistance training, the right amount of cardio. Like, we're not sitting here telling you not to do any cardio because obviously you need to burn calories, right?
Yeah, we're not against cardio.
There's a more efficient way of doing it. Your body's so good at being in homeostasis. It's so good at just being in center line. So as soon as you start eating a bunch more calories, your body's like, all right, cool, that's my baseline. As soon as you start eating a massive deficit, your body's going to bring that down. That's going to be your deficit. Well, you can't, I guess you can always eat more calories, but you can't go below zero, right? So if your way of losing fat or losing weight is just constantly, I'm going to take 200 calories out of my diet. I'm going to continue to take it out. You're going to hit zero eventually.
Yeah.
Then you're running on nothing. Obviously, everybody has just a basal metabolic rate. Like, your body just needs gas in the tank just to open your eyes every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, just like you said, just because it worked in the past doesn't mean it's going to work as efficiently in the future. And the big thing that we're talking about is efficiency. We want to be able to lose fat, not muscle.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have a certain percentage of body fat, but you don't want to just be losing numbers on like a number on the scale. You have to use a scale at times because it is something that you can quantify, something you can measure on a daily basis. Like, are you going to go get a DEXA scan every single day? Like, no. Right? But it's just people get so obsessed with something that worked in the past.
Yeah.
And I hate hearing that from people like, oh, like, I've been a total piece. I drink all the time, but, I'll just do keto for like 2 weeks and I'll look good. I'll look good by summer.
Yeah.
And right now it's starting to be spring. It's been 70 a couple days in a row. So everybody's like, oh, like now the crash diets, the fad diets are coming on hard.
Yeah. And that's something we are super, like, not for.
Yeah. Fad diets.
Uh-huh.
We'll cover that at a different time. But doing this the appropriate way will not damage your metabolism long term. And we're about to see and talk to and interact with a bunch of people that are going to do a bunch of unhealthy things over the next 2 to 3 months so they can look
Beach ready.
Right.
They can look
Okay.
for 3 months.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're going to feel horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going to gain all that weight back.
Yes, and
come
that's
winter.
one thing we do want to discuss too. So this process, metabolic adaptation, just understand this. Your body is super efficient. So whatever you do, your body is going to respond really well. Whether it is a bunch of cardio or you are putting yourself in a deficit, you are going to see results, but those results are not going to last. Or you're not going to keep going at a downhill like fat loss, weight loss, whatever it is your goals are. And so what we want to do is explain to you how to not get stuck, right? And so because your body is super fantastic at adapting, what we want to do is do it smartly and do it correctly. So when you are trying to put yourself in a caloric deficit, you are trying to hit your goals, there's no need to do something that is not sustainable, whether it's overtraining or undereating. And some of the risks that comes with your body adapting to a very low caloric deficit, and this is one thing I see all the time. I'll have clients come to me and they're like, okay, well, I used to have a really fast metabolism, but now it's slowed down and I can't lose any more weight. And then I'll have them track their food for about a week and I see that they're eating 1,200 calories, doing 5 to 6 group fitness classes a week, and then like a run on a weekend. And it's just like, it's sad because it's like these people are hurting themselves. And then there's really no clear solution. Like, you don't see this being advertised or sponsored on social media, right? Like, how to reverse all the damage you've done to your body. It's always like they're selling some kind of juice or fruit tea or something, or strawberry ketones. Yeah.
And profitable.
Yeah. And so to prevent that, what we want to do is make sure that you are not hurting yourself. And some of the risks that comes with adapting and being in a low caloric deficit is the risk of overfeeding. And this is really what happens when someone overfeeds from being in a deficit for so long. You can actually gain all the weight back and then some. Like, you've seen that before. Yeah. I've experienced that.
I've experienced it.
And it sucks. And it's like you work so hard and then all of a sudden all your hard work is gone. And there's research and studies that have come out. They actually experienced this with lab rats. They put them in a deficit and then they put them in a surplus for like, I don't know, a couple of weeks. And they found that they actually have gained new fat cells. Like, your body develops new fat cells and you can't get rid of fat cells. So
yeah, because you shouldn't be starving yourself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, we talked about like one of the some of the things that can happen with like these fad diets or whatever. But the big thing that we're trying to, I guess you say, cure is people's relationship with food.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there shouldn't be any point where you like feel like you have to starve yourself or eliminate something that's not like due to like an allergy or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you reintroduce it in a very like malicious manner, because it's like you're doing, oh, I'm so bad, like I had this or had that. Like, there's some foods you should never like touch. Like, you shouldn't eat anything with a ton of high fructose corn syrup, but should you beat yourself up over like having a donut or whatever? Like, no. You'll be fine.
No. Yeah,
You're
Luke and
gonna
I
be
had donuts for
okay.
breakfast this morning.
You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, and so to get out of that metabolic adaptation, what's so important, and if any of my clients are listening, you know I've preached about this, it's reverse dieting and slowly reintroducing calories to get your metabolism back to a healthy point. But this is so underrated because no one like wants to stay where they're at to fix their metabolism. You don't see progress right away. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
You
It's a
feel
huge mental
better,
hurdle.
but you don't look like you did when you were only eating 1,000 calories. But it's so important because you have to think long term, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you're gonna feel so much better long term. Like even someone like me, like I look better now than I did a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Feel better now, but I'm eating more.
But you
But
took
you
the
have to
time.
go through the process.
Yeah.
If you asked me like 2 months ago, I was feeling pretty fat. I was feeling good.
A little
But
fluffy.
I was just
We all
it's
do
just like-
sometimes.
I mean, also I was eating 4,300 calories. Nobody else that is listening to this is probably going to be eating that
Yeah.
much. And
Cody was
so
also
with-
burning like 1,000 calories a day, though.
Yeah, so like with me, it's also like
10,000.
yeah, with me, it's also like it was give and take. Like I wasn't willing to part with all of the training that I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
but you could sit down with a client and you could say like, all right, go to the gym 3 times a week. You work out 3 times a week. The other like 3 days of the week, or
Yeah.
you just do like a more moderate workout.
Yeah.
Me, I was just like, all right, I got to do like 5-6 days a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so just understand getting yourself into that happy place has to be done with resistance training.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the number one staple. You're never going to meet anybody that knows what they're talking about. And when you ask them, like, hey, I want to lose fat, and they're going to say, like, all right, their number one answer should always be resistance training. Like,
Yeah.
it depends, works for so many things in fitness, but it's 99% true that you need to be doing some sort of resistance training. When we say resistance training, we mean lifting weights.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know how you guys do it. It gets super frustrating for me. I'm not a trainer to talk to people and they're like, oh, like I should not gonna lift weights and X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, hey, no, like if you want to do it, lift weights, cut this class out. So many, obviously, speed up your metabolism because your body literally needs to work harder. Your body has to work harder to sustain muscle versus sustaining fat. So
Yeah.
you're kicking your metabolism like that. You're just naturally going to burn more calories.
Yeah, say that again.
Like right now, if I just lay and fall asleep right now and I've slept all through tomorrow, I'm still going to burn like 3,000 calories while I'm sleeping tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's because I have 200 pounds of muscle on me. So having muscle on your body is going to make you burn more fat.
It does the work for you. It's
And-
great.
Exactly. So do a little bit of work up front, put on muscle mass so that you can sustain a caloric burn over a longer period of time without having to do an extra hour of cardio or whatever the hell it might be.
Yes.
Right.
That's so important. The other thing, just, I mean, for yourself long term, structurally, you're going to see so many more injuries to people that aren't doing resistance training. So you see these chronic injuries, you see people that knees and hips and whatever it might be because they're just running. And there's so much structural damage that's done on you. And so, like, all right, cool. Are you going to go run a marathon? Yeah,
Probably
but you're
not.
going to do a lot of damage to your body. If you just lift weights and do resistance training, I think you're going to see a lot more benefits. And studies have shown you're going to see a lot more benefits, fat burning, and healthiness to your metabolism long term.
Mm-hmm.
And for the fellas too, testosterone. It's going to be a big one too. When
Yes.
you're lifting those heavy weights, you're going to be releasing that free test. Whereas if you're doing a ton of cardio, you're actually going to be releasing more cortisol. So the fat burning hormones versus the fat storing hormones. So strength training is a must. Did you have anything else on? I feel like you were about to go on another strength training piece.
No, obviously I was going to hit on the testosterone, but for sure with you just see, like I'm struggling with this with like my mom, like someone who's elderly, just older than 29. You need to be lifting, like there's a huge difference between like a 60-year-old who lifts weights and 6-year-old who doesn't lift weights.
Oh, yeah.
25, 26-year-olds, like you guys all look the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
People who don't lift weights, you can get away with it, but like set the basis now for the long term. Like lifting weights, there's so many pros to it long term for your metabolism, for the structure of your body,
Yeah.
And like you said, for guys, for sure with testosterone fat is the only estrogen producing tissue. So literally having more fat on your body produces estrogen, which is gonna make you off kilter as a man.
Yeah, and I just think too, like your body is going to decay over time, right? That's just what happens when we get old. So why not slow down the process?
I mean, you need muscle to support your skeletal system. That's why a lot of times you'll see elderly people start to slowly just like fall over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because they don't have muscle to hold them up to support that skeletal system. So, super important. It's also going to change the way you look. Even if you have really low body fat, if you have no muscle underneath there, it's not going to look that great. So put some muscle underneath that, lose the body fat, and that's when the external results are going to really start to show.
Exactly. And I mean, you see this with your cardio bunnies. You see this with people that just think like, oh, I'm going to run 3 miles a day, 4 or 5 days a week. Like, you're not building muscle. This long running, I need to do cardio for, and cardio, let's like be clear, like cardio isn't walking on a treadmill for 30 minutes. Cardio is like pushing your heart rate like above like 130 beats per minute, right? So doing like high intensity cardio for a long duration, you're gonna burn more muscle out, and that's why you see undefined legs, you see flat butts, you see flabby arms, right? On skinny girls.
No, it's true.
And I'm saying it for girls right now, but you see it a lot with guys too, and they call it dad bod, they call it whatever you want. And it's just like literally you can tell if someone is just overdoing it on the cardio. Like, I did a group fitness class this morning, and there was a ton of guys in there that I'm like, I can tell that you're not lifting any weights as part of a program that would be conducive towards building muscle. I can tell you're doing HIIT training for 45 minutes straight.
Yeah, and that's cardio.
Like your heart rate is like at 156 for 45 minutes straight. So that is cardio. So like you're not the fact that you did it with dumbbells in your hands doesn't mean anything, you know?
Yeah, there's
cardio with weights.
Definitely. There's a difference between like doing shoulder press, like standard shoulder press, and then like shoulder press bicep curl to a burpee. You know, like obviously you're going to burn more calories when you do cardio, but that doesn't mean it's helping you.
Right.
So yeah, cardio is cardio. You're exercising your heart, which is amazing, but doesn't always mean that you're going to benefit your physique or overall health with strength.
And don't get attached to the number on your watch for your caloric burn when you're doing strength training. I've had people, when I put them on strength training programs, they're like, oh, I just don't burn as many calories.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, you're doing a different type of training. Cardio is going to burn more calories, but like what we talked about, it's not going to build any muscle.
Yeah.
So put the work in on the front end, like Cody talked about. You have more muscle. You're going to burn more calories throughout the day, so you don't have to hit that 1,000 calorie a day burn or whatever it might be. It's going to vary depending on what your programming for that day is. So it might be a cardio day and you're going to burn more calories, or it might be a strength training day. You're going to burn less calories, but understand that your goal isn't to burn as many calories as possible.
Yeah.
It's to put some muscle on your body.
Yeah, we're trying to get out of the adaptation of that like cardio burn and get your body adapted to building muscle, because once you start lifting weights, your body's going to respond, especially if you're brand new, so well. So
Yeah, and even then, like when we talk about like lifting weights and we talk about resistance training, you do have to switch. I mean, gets more granular, but you do have to switch the type of resistance training that you're doing every 3 to 4 weeks, because, like you said, Tatiana, like your body is so good at adapting to the good and the bad. Right?
Like when you when you think like, oh, I hit a new PR, like your body is maybe going to stay there for a minute. It's going to adapt. You're going to feel stronger, right?
Yeah.
But then you got to keep pushing.
But yeah, so a lot of people think like they just correlate losing weight, and we always talk about weight because they just look at a number on a scale, losing weight with I need to do more cardio, when in fact lifting weights is the basis.
It really is.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes back to. It comes out to fueling your body properly, doing your resistance training, doing some cardio for your heart, but not using it to reach your goals. Yeah. So we talked about what metabolic adaptation is, and we've given some of you guys some examples Cody and I are an example of this. A lot of my clients, but we let you know the risk, and so how to prevent it and how to go about it. The best thing you can do if you feel like you have a body that's metabolically adapted, you're stuck, you can't lose weight, the best thing to do is start tracking your calories or macros just to see where you're at. And then seek help, like find a nutritionist or ask one of us. We'd be happy to help you. Because the best thing to probably do right now is just reverse diet you. Like, even if you don't feel like I've never been in a deficit, or I don't think I've dieted ever, but maybe that's just what your eating habits are like. So reverse diet, get out of a caloric deficit. It's really hard to build muscle when you are in a caloric deficit. Reverse diet, and then gradually introduce more calories and start resistance training if you're not already.
Should we hit a little more? We've thrown that word around a lot, but probably most people don't know what that looks like. Reverse diet.
Yeah.
So reverse diet, it's pretty simple. It's just slowly adding calories over time. Your goal is to do it slowly so that you're not gaining a ton of body fat. We've actually seen a lot of our clients who are in that adaptation phase, and they're doing too much cardio and not eating enough. When we introduce more calories to their diet, oftentimes they lose body fat.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's funny because they're eating more, but their body fat is going down. So it's a slow process. It typically, it's different for everybody depending on what your baseline is. Maybe anywhere between 50 to 150 calories a week you should be adding, but again, everyone's different. So for some people you have to go a little slower, some people you can push a little faster without seeing that body fat gain, but ideally you can do it without gaining any body fat.
Like Cody.
Correct.
Yeah.
How didn't we increase? Your calories went up crazy amount.
I went up when we started at like 2,500.
I think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we pushed over 6 months. Was it 7 months? Up to 4,200. It was like 4,250, I think. And I gained like maybe 1% of body fat. I gained overall like 5 pounds. So I put on a good amount of muscle, and I burned, and I lost body fat overall. I think I gained like pounds of body fat versus a percentage of body fat. And that was just that. I was overtraining. I was under eating. My body was adapted so that I had the baseline of like a 25-year-old girl.
He was eating as much as I was.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and I was still lifting a ton of weight.
Yeah.
So I had the like we talk about this. It has to be all encompassing. Like, you can't do one. You can't lift weights and then not take care of your nutrition, not administer cardio appropriately, and expect to not have maladapted metabolism. And then same thing goes, like, you can't be under your nutrition, do cardio, and then not lift weights. Like, you have to have all three to do this efficiently. Like, you can look okay, like somebody's gonna want to date you, but you're not gonna look as good as you can, right? You're not gonna feel as good as you can. You're not gonna have a good of mood as you can. So yeah, like with me, the big thing is just understanding like this is a process. Luckily, I'm so damn busy. Luke, you just like text me the numbers, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'm just gonna do it now. Like, I don't have time to argue it. Like, it's okay. And so so we gradually increase. And what I've noticed, because I've never done this myself, is like we were pushing. It's custom tailored, so like this is why you need to work with like a nutritionist or a dietitian or a trainer like you guys, because you understood that I burn a shit ton of calories, right? So carbs would be continued to be pushed because I needed the energy source. Like people can do their keto stuff or whatever. Like there's science that shows like that's okay for certain types of people when you're carnivore or whatever it is. Like do your thing. But it's not for everybody. It's probably not for anybody, but it's not for everybody, right? But like me personally, I need carbs. Like anybody that's like, oh, like I'm doing keto. I'm like, all right, well, like you could never do what I do. Like you wouldn't last a week in my lifestyle, right? Like I see people that like are out there like doing like keto. I've been keto for so long. I've lost a bunch of weight. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go to the gym, and then let's go work. Right. And let's go back to the gym, and let's go run. I was like, but you don't have the energy source to do that. So like we would continue to push carbs, and I was able to. And this is really important. ties into something that we're going to talk about later, but it's really important to understand that, like, all right, do I want to skip a meal, or do I want to take out carbs, or do I want to add in the carbs, and do I want to make my workout that much more efficient?
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, cool, I can eat more, which means I can push more weight, so I can put on more muscle. Or I can pull back, and then I'm just not building weight, and now I'm just going to stay small, which is frightful.
It's just energy in, energy out.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. But yeah, reverse dieting is super important. Cody did it, and now he's feeling and looking even better. Many of my clients, especially my initial clients, my female clients, we've had to reverse diet before I can even go into the cutting phase or the losing body fat phase. But there's a high percentage of them. Like one of my clients, she's doing so well. We started maybe a month and a half ago. All I've done is increased her calories by like 500-600, and she's lost 10 pounds. And most of it is body fat because we've incorporated resistance training too. So the 2 and 2 really go hand in hand. And we're not saying that maybe you're suffering from metabolic adaptation, but a high percentage of the people that we are involved with or that we see in our community or our clientele are. So that's why we wanted to let you guys know, like, what exactly is metabolic adaptation and what can we do to prevent it.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, that's good.
Yeah. That's good. So we hope you guys are more informed about metabolic adaptation and how to prevent it. Lift your weights and stop hitting yourself.
Always.
All right.
Bye.